In old Victorian knitting patterns, and even today in some kinds of very fine lace that's made on a garter stitch background, like Orenburg Russian lace, knit two together is the only kind of decrease that's used. It's a right slanting decrease, but in those types of lace, in very fine lace, in very soft yarns that are sometimes fuzzy, the stitches are hidden. So you don't notice if your decreases are not symmetrical. But in a lot of today's knitting, we find that we have right and left slanting decreases. When I first started to learn lace, it was the left slanting decreases that gave me a problem. Just like the knit two together, the left slanting decrease has two versions of the symbol. The simple version, which is just that diagonal line that slants towards the left, and the more complicated version that has that extra leg. And just like knit two together, this symbol, the complicated symbol for the left slanting decrease, tells you what's happening. You're taking two stitches, you're turning them into one stitch, and it's going to slant to the left. Now, if you've ever worked old-fashioned types of knitting patterns, or sometimes today even patterns from England, or some patterns for doilies or traditional lace projects that are not really modern trendy things, you may have seen this, a left slanting decrease as slip one, knit one, pass the slip stitch over. I'm not going to show that to you because that always messed me up. Because everything else so far that we've looked at in all the chart symbols, knit, purl, yarn over, and knit two together, is one symbol and one thing to do. If you think of this as slip one, knit one, pass the slip stitch over, it ends up being one stitch, but there's three things you have to do, which can mess up your rhythm in the knitting and confuse you. It definitely did for me. So I don't do that decrease. A more modern type of decrease that you may see used is SSK. We will look at SSK, but I don't even do SSK because it's still 3 steps to make one stitch, which is slip one knitwise, slip one knitwise, and then you knit those 2 slip stitches together to make the SSK. We will look at it, but before we look at it, I want to show you the easiest way to make a left slanting decrease, which is great if you're a beginning lace knitter and you need to get your rhythm developed and some practice in. And that is just knit 2 together through the back loop. And that's the kind of left slanting decrease that Dorothy Reed always used in her knitting.